Hello again, everybody. Time for another recording. This is going to be the last one from Learning Unit 3. So just a recap on what's going on in Learning Unit 3. It's all about managing working capital. So there are a few things that we have already done, and I'm just going to conclude by looking at one last section, which is this one. Okay, so let's explain what's happening again, just to wrap up Learning Unit 3. In there, we look at the concept of working capital, and we can do a calculation of current assets, current liabilities, and then net working capital. Okay. We can look at effective annual interest rates. So when an interest rate is not compounded annually, we need to change it using the formula into an effective annual rate. Then we can look at the collection of receipts from sales, either from debtors or cash sales or both. What I want to do now is the same, but with purchases. So we can, as a business, buy on credit, or we can pay cash. So we need to sort all of that out and get a schedule together for payments for purchases. Lastly, there's the cash budget or the cash flow statement that combines all the different elements together. So that's a lovely section to be examined on. Right, so what you're looking at now on the screen is a question that is asking us for the forecasted payments for purchases. So that's worth looking at here. Payments for purchases, and that means we need to have credit payments as well as cash. What's the period involved? Remember, I've always said to you in a question of this nature, most important thing is when do they want you to prepare it for? As we see, it's for 3 months, July, August, and September. That means I need to run a column for those 3 months to record all of the payments for the purchases. Okay. So what we need to do, first of all, is deal with the credit element. So let's see what info we have available. We would need to find, obviously, the relevant percentage. So it says here, 20% of purchases are cash. Therefore, what else do we know? That the other 80% must be credit. Oh, sorry, typo, I missed the C. So that's going to be step number 1. I need to take the amount that we've got here. Just want to show it to you. This information is total purchases. So we need to split it into the credit and the cash component. So I need to find 80% of these amounts. So we've got the actual purchases for 3 months, and then the budgeted or the forecasted purchases for the following 3 months. That's why I'm going to do my schedule of budgeted payments for purchases for July to September. All right, so let's check out how the business is going to pay for the purchases, especially the credit ones. Here's the information, these bullets. 1 month after the purchase, it's 35%. 2 months afterwards, 40%. Lastly, 25% is collected 3 months after it. Okay. So just a reminder again, please use month names as headings. Please don't try and sort it out by 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Otherwise, you won't know what's what. And then you're not going to be able to find the amounts for July, August, September, so you can't actually answer the question. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have columns for those months that I identified here. July, August, September. But if I look here, why do I not start at July? Why do I go back to April? It's because the creditors are paid several months later. So there's a lag. So it could be in July, we are making a credit payment for a purchase as long ago as April. So we follow the payment story in fact number 2, and that will tell us that we need to backtrack as far as April. So step number 1, I want to find credit sales. So I'm going to take all of these purchases, all of these amounts here from April all the way to September. I'm going to find 80%, and that will then change the total purchases into credit purchases, because I can't start my calculations and my monthly allocations unless I've got 80%, which is the credit component. So let's do that first of all. So for April, we're going to find 80% of the total purchases of 300 gives me 240. Do all of this at once, please. Don't try and get the payment sorted. Get your mind thinking in the one direction. In other words, sort out all of the credit purchase totals. So we bought in May for 400,000. Find 80% gives me 320. For June and July and August, take the total purchase out of the table and convert it into the credit purchase of these amounts here with the blue dots next to it. Why don't I include September on the left-hand side? Because that will only first be paid in October, and that is too late for the purposes of this calculation. We stop at September. Okay. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get the payment allocation to the correct months. So starting with April, right, let's just maybe type a little bit here. I'll just set you up. April is when we made the purchase. Following those 3 bullets above, when are we going to make payments? So the first of the installments is a month later, so that will be May, followed by June, followed by July. Now, we need to only start recording in which month? The question is asking July. So, which ones of these are going to be relevant? Only this last one. I'm not recording in this question the payments made in May and June. I'm starting in July, so I'm looking for the 3rd and final payment. So that tells me it's how much? Following the above, 25%. And then no more. It's fully paid. So let's see how I'm going to do that. Notice that it's all based on this credit purchase of 240,000. And there's my 25% gives me 60,000. Now let's come on to May. Let's type here. Purchases made in May. Let's get the payments sorted. June, followed by July, followed by August. Once again, I don't want June. I'm only wanting to capture 2 months. Which ones? These ones, July and August. So we need to go above and check the amounts. Second payment is 40%. 3rd and final payment, 25%. So just remember those numbers, 40%, 25%. Come down here. First of all, I must use the credit purchase amount of the 320,000. Notice that. Don't make a mistake and use the total purchase. Then in July is my 40%, August, the remaining 25%. That's it. We're done with the May purchase. Next up, let us do the purchase for June. Following the payment, it will be first installment July, second installment August, last one September. All three of these months fall within the scope of the question. So I must put all of them in. And what are going to be the different percentages? We've already looked at some of them, but not all of them. So let's go here. The first one for July is 35%, then 40% for August, lastly 25%. But do have a look here. The first installment, if you look there, the business benefit from an early settlement discount. So we need to, change that. We're going to get a 25% discount, but it's only applicable on the first installment of the 35%. So be careful here as to what you're finding. Don't just find 2.5% and write that up, because that will only say that you are paying the discount. But remember, you receive the discount. So we're going to minus 2.5%, and we're only going to pay the remaining 97.5%, but only of the 35%. So let me show you how to do that. So here we are June. So the first thing that I had to do, remember, was change my 500,000 total purchase to credit purchase of 400,000. Step 1, July, first installment, I find 35% of it. Then see what I do here. I multiply it by 0,975, which is the decimalized version of 97.5%. Gives me the payment of 136,500 for July. The discount does not apply to the 40% payment in August or the 25% payment in September. Okay, let's carry on, shall we? Let's do the purchase made in July. How does the payment go? Start 1 month later, August, September, and October. Which of the months do we need? July, yes. August, yes. But what about October? No, it's too late. We're ending with September. So what are the amounts going to be? Okay. August, it will be 35, September 40, and we do not record that 25%. Don't forget what's going to happen over here with that 35 discount. Okay, so let's get into the question. So step number 1 for August, what did I need to do? I needed to change the 550,000 purchase into the credit purchase here. Why is it not letting me draw? Silly thing. Of the 440,000. Sorry, wait, am I doing June? Yes, I went skew because sorry, okay. So for July, it's the 750,000 changed into the credit. 80% gives me 600,000. Okay. I do not make any payment in July. We start in August with the 35% and the applicable discount. Then for September, it's the 40%, but no discount. Okay, that's that. Then last one, we're going to do August purchase. And how do we record the payments? September, October, November. Which ones are relevant here? Not all of them. So we're only wanting to have that first one, September, because too late. Our question goes only from July to September. So what's going to be the amount? 35% of the credit purchase, subject to the discount. So we have found the credit purchase of 440. Make sure you are in the right column. First payment in September, 35%, and the discount received. So we're nearly there. We're going to add up everything, and we're going to put that as the total for this, the payment to the creditors. So just by way of example, for July, we're going to take the 60,000 plus the 128 plus the 136.5, add it all together, gives me 324,500. So for each of the other months, you do the same. You'll add and you'll get these amounts. But we don't stop there, do we? No, because the question has asked us for payments for purchases. So the thing that's missing is going to be the cash. So back to the question. 20% over here of the purchases are cash. And remember, this relates to the same month. So I need to go to July, and I need to look at the purchase for July, which is the 750,000, find 20%. Doesn't lag because it's a cash payment. My purchase in August, 550, find 20%, pay August. Lastly, September, total purchase of 600, find 20%, pay September. So that's very straightforward. There, 20% of the current month's total purchase gives me 150, 110, 120. So that is written up as cash purchases. Last step, almost there. What do we still need to do? Add it all together and look at the combined total for all purchases. So for July, we're going to take the 324,500 for credit, add that to the 150,000 cash, add the total at the bottom, 474,500. And there you have it. Just do the same for the other 2 months, and that, everybody, is how you do the payments for purchases. Lovely. So we're done with this one. Stop sharing and wrap up the recording. Thanks so much for listening to this one. Hope you've managed to get this important section all sorted.